Hello, Gophers, and welcome back to part 13 of Introduction to Go. In this video, we'll be learning about the deferred keyword. Before we move forward, please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, do not forget to press the bell icon so that you don't miss on any new videos or tutorials that we put forward. Now, let's start by understanding what deferred keyword will do. Deferred keyword is used when you want to execute a bit of code or a piece of code after the function has ended. This is normally done when you utilize some resources. For example, you open a file or you open a connection to some other server, let's say HTTP call or your database server, and you want to close that connection after the function has ended. It would be something like the finally keyword that is there in other programming language, where the part of code is always executed whether or not the try or catch is executed. So this would be some code that will be always executed just after the function has ended. Now let's take an example where I'm printing 4 lines, and at every line I'm incrementing the value of I up to +1. Now let's try and print this. So here I get output of line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4. Now let's say I wanted this line or this piece of code to be executed after my program has ended. So I would have mentioned defer before the line, and now let's see what output we get. So this was the second line, I suppose. So that is why we got the line 2 in the end. But many times you might get confused that when this line is getting executed, this would be at end of the function, and at that time the I value would be 5 and it should print 5. But that's not the case with deferred. Deferred would take the current state of the value which is encountered when the statement is getting pulled off by like statement is being encountered by the program flow. So when the program prints this, that is I is equal to 1, then increments the value of I to 2, and then when it encounters the deferred statement, it will keep this statement in the LIFO stack, and there the I value that is being passed is 2. So whenever this statement will be executed, I's value will be considered as 2, and then the program flows carry on. Now, let's say if I have multiple deferred statements in my program, let's say I have this as well as a deferred statement. So ideally, normal to a normal user, he should feel that when this was entered first into the deferred block and then this entered, so it should execute in the same sequence. But no, in defer, everything is executed in LIFO pattern, that is last in, first out. Now let's check this out. Check this behavior. So if you see, I have got line 1 printed for the first, then it took line 2 in the deferred block, then it took the line 3 in the deferred block again. So, and then it printed line 4, and now the line 3 was entered in the last, so it got executed first and then line 2. So this is not normally needed when this is also good because at times when you open multiple connections, let's say you have like you open a file, from the file you read another file name and then you open that file, so you have a chain of things that gets opened up. So you want to close them in the reverse sequence only, because there might be some things that needs to be closed before, because it was created at the end and has dependency on the first. So if you directly go ahead and try to close the first connection, it might give you an error where it says that there is a child connection being opened using this connection. So you need to close the child first. So that is where deferred runs on a LIFO pattern. Now let's take one more example where we'll open a file and we'll go into a live example where we should use a defer keyword. Now let's take an example where I will be reading a file, and when I read a file, I should close the connection to the file so that any other connection that is being tried to create on the same file, or let's say when you are creating a HTTP server, you might be wanting to read a file, get data from it, and present it to the user. But if your first request has not closed the connection to file, the other request will not be able to access the file or append the file because it will say there is an open connection already made to the file. So in those scenarios, you need to close the file as soon as the work is complete. So there might be scenarios where you while development, you might skip to close the file because while developing, you normally, while running your code, you will end the code before you try to make some changes. And when you end the code, your file's connection will be ended automatically when the resources will be free. So at that moment, you might not face the issue where you have left the connection open to the file. So in those scenarios, what we can do. Now over here I have taken an example where I have used OS package, and this package will help me opening a file, and then I can read the content of the file. So the content that I have written in the file is hello and world in separate lines. Now this line will help me opening the connection to the file, opening the file. Check will actually check if there is an error because this function will return two parts. One is pointer to the file and then an error. In case the file is not found or is already been opened by some other program, then it will give me an error. So in case I encounter an error, I will raise a panic and the program will get ended. Now we'll discuss about panic in the next video. Till then, let's take an example where I just raised a panic, and the use of panic is just to stop the execution of the program then and there. Now I've created a B1 variable which is of type byte array, and I have used make keyword to tell compiler that in this byte array you must have a minimum length of 5. I have not given the capacity that I need, but this is a slice of byte. So I'm saying that you create the length, a byte slice with a length of 5. Now I say that I'll read from the file in the byte array. So this function read will return the number of characters read and if it has encountered an error. Again, I call the check function to check if there is an error. If there is no error and there is no panic, so in that case, I'll be able to execute the statement. And over here, I have just printed the B1 slice, which says that I should print from 0 to N1. Now, why we are using N1 over here? Because if my file contains only two characters, I have defined the length as 5, but this read will only read two characters. So N1 will store only two characters. Rest all characters, rest three characters that I have already declared will be empty. So I don't want to print those empty uh, for me, and I don't want to access those. So that is why N1 is needed because this will give me exact length of string that is being read. So, and after that I am closing this connection. Let's say I have not written this connection, this close part, then if some other program, the same program is executed again without the previous one being completed, then we'll face an issue. So to do this, what we can do is as soon as we create the file, we check the error, we can directly go ahead and say defer. Now this will help me in closing the file whatever it takes because after the main function, even if I am raising a panic, then also this defer will be raised. But sorry, this should be mentioned just before we check the error. So now let's run this program and see if we are getting the desired output. So it says it has read 5 bytes and those 5 bytes were HELL4. So this is how you can use deferred in your practical life, and you can actually get benefited out of it, so that you don't miss on closing some open connections to any other server or file system to make the program more efficient. Thank you for watching the video. Please do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also press the bell icon so that you don't miss on any new notifications. Also do comment us below on any feedbacks or any new tutorials that you want us to do.